Trump promises to end the Russian-Ukrainian war in one day. It's difficult to understand how he imagines this. Nevertheless, we can predict that his plan is to force negotiations through sanctions and lack of aid. Someone tell him it won't work. The defeat of Ukraine could lead to the direct involvement of NATO and U.S. soldiers in a war for the Baltic states, Poland, or Finland. But let's come back to this a little later. For now, please like this video so that the YouTube algorithms love us even more and our family grows with new viewers. Here we go. The assistance of the United States, which is a signatory to the Budapest Memorandum, allows Ukraine to withstand, but not to win. What does this mean? First of all, in providing mostly defensive weapons. In 2018, the United States provided Ukraine with the first Javelin systems. In February 2022, this weapon became a symbol of Ukrainian resistance. The Javelin system is quite mobile and easy to use. One class will be enough to learn the principle of shooting from it. The missile has a thermal homing head and can hit enemy vehicles from a mile away. An ideal weapon for guerrilla warfare, isn't it? The same logic can be followed when it comes to transferring Stingers. This is a fairly old anti-aircraft system, but it's so well known that its name has become a trademark for all man-portable air defense systems, such as Bazooka in the class of grenade launchers or Xerox in the class of copiers and printers. At the time of the last public count in 2014, the Stinger had shot down about 270 airplanes and helicopters. The Stinger missile doesn't even need a direct hit to destroy a target, as it's equipped with a non-contact fuse. The missile covers 2,100 feet per second and can hit a target 2 miles away. It's difficult to say what its effectiveness in Ukraine is, but even missiles have been shot down by this system. When it became clear that Ukraine had withstood, it became necessary to send something more powerful. Therefore, in the summer of 2022, another legend appeared on the battlefield, the HIMARS.
We've been supplying Ukraine with items from our junk drawer, as opposed to the high-end missile capabilities.
It combines range, accuracy, and mobility. This makes it possible to perform work that's traditionally done by dozens of launchers firing thousands of shells.
Yeah, they just got a fire one ready, fire command. So as soon as they moved out from the high point to the firing point, they'll shoot that rocket and hit steel on target.
The unit is armed with 6 227mm missiles with an effective range of 20 to 40 miles.
There's just all kinds of operational advantages to that greater range.
This is an excellent deterrent weapon, but the system can also launch ATACMS missiles, which can hit targets at a distance of 90 to 190 miles.
We recognize the need to develop a unitary type of warhead instead of the bombless that could minimize the collateral damage on the targets that we were going after.
The Ukrainian Army has recently received these missiles, which have excellent attack potential, but not the most powerful versions. Another excellent U.S. weapon that's perfect for Ukrainian defense is the Bradley. For 40 years, this armored personnel carrier has remained the main and still indispensable for the U.S. Army. The Bradley was nicknamed the tank fighter for its effectiveness in Iraq. It proves this in Ukraine as well. Since the Bradley appeared relatively late, it already took into account all the advantages and disadvantages of the Soviet BMP-1. Even Russian experts admit that Soviet vehicles are far inferior to Bradley in terms of combat effectiveness. The American vehicle was originally designed to destroy Soviet armored vehicles. The Bradley has a more powerful gun, stronger armor, and better cross-country ability.
Going to the full track gave them a much better off-road capability than the half-track design did.
The Bradley does an excellent job of repelling the Russian tankers' offensive fervor, but it still lacks offensive potential. But the United States is in no hurry to provide Abrams, one of the best tanks in the world, which are used mainly for offensive purposes.
There's no tank out there that is more lethal, more maneuverable, more ability to provide shock effect on the battlefield.
It's a highly advanced and super modern vehicle.
There's 1.4 million lines of code on this tank. It's a life and death situation out there, and you absolutely want to be able to detect, recognize, identify the target, and engage that target before it has a chance to fire back at you.
Such an amount of electronics is not surprising because this behemoth is designed for one thing: the destruction of any target. By the way, this tank weighs 63 tons, which is often criticized. However, the 1,500 horsepower engine easily carries it across the battlefield.
The many things that make the tank amazing is the ability to move as much mass as
However, it's not only equipment that helps Ukraine. Another area of assistance is financial. The United States has given Ukraine tens of billions of dollars in aid, but what's interesting is that most of this money still remained in the United States to upgrade the range of weapons that were transferred to Ukraine. In other words, Ukraine is being supplied with older weapons at the expense of the United States, which is replenishing its stockpiles with the same money. What would have happened if the U.S. had spent more and ended the war? Why is America in no hurry to help Ukraine with the offensive and the end of the war, using only a few % of its defense budget? Most likely the issue here is not military, and even more so not financial, but geopolitical. The United States is afraid of uncontrolled processes after the defeat of Russia. A quick defeat of Russia will lead to a stronger China. It'll establish control over the former allies of Russia and maybe even over Russia itself, becoming an absolute hegemon on the continent. This scenario will not suit the United States as it directly threatens the status quo in the world. It's much more profitable for America to gradually weaken Russia with the help of the Ukrainians. After that, Russia will have to forget about the war for decades, dealing with internal problems. This has been done many times before, and it's never worked. It will always attack, no matter how weak it looks. Therefore, as Lindsey Graham said about Ukrainians, this is the partner I dreamed of. They're ready to fight. They just need our economic and military support. They don't want our soldiers, so the idea that Ukraine doesn't matter doesn't make sense from an American national security perspective. It's just ridiculous. If Ukraine loses, Russia will have a gigantic platform and large human and material resources for an offensive against the Baltic states and Poland. And then U.S. soldiers will have to defend NATO's borders. From the U.S. perspective, prolonging the conflict is the only possible solution. The same opinion is shared in Russia. However, we should not forget that the only thing Russia is interested in is legitimizing its conquests, as endless expansion is the only possible way for such a backward empire to develop. Sooner or later, this will become clear to the United States, and the only question is whether or not it'll happen on NATO's borders. Be that as it may, Ukrainians continue to fight thanks to the help of the United States and other countries. And this fight will not stop even if the aid ends. This is the end of the video. If you liked it, don't hesitate to like it and leave a comment so you can help us understand in which direction we should develop the content. Thank you for watching. See you soon.